state librarian for South Carolina. And,
Wow.
and that was a real trip. That was the best job I ever had. It was an independent state agency. The governor appointed 6 commissioners. They hired the director. And all I had to do was keep the committee happy and or the director, those guys happy, and that was easy to do. And then I could just run the whole thing. So, and then did that for 6 years or 5 years, and then the position of head of the library at the Citadel came open, and it was a chance to go home to where it all started. So I spent my last 6 years in Charleston at the Citadel, and that was great fun until it wasn't. And I retired, and we moved here to Asheville, and so we've been in Asheville for about 3 years, and just love the place. It's just a great area, and I've been taking courses at the college for seniors here, and I chair a curriculum committee for the college, and just having a great time. Just having a great time.
Dave,
it's interesting because I've managed to keep track of your brother, of Woody, and he's ripping up the mountains over there in Hawaii. Isn't he? Growing pineapples and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's raising flowers, and he's on Maui. He's got a couple acres on the side of Haleakala, and he's been doing that since he was going to spend 30 years in the Marine Corps as well. Of course, he was shot down. He was a Marine aviator and was shot down twice, and hurt pretty bad actually. And then he came back, and they sent him out with a co-pilot, and he didn't know it, but they were actually testing him to see whether he was really capable of flying anymore. And when they came back, the guy wrote him up and said he's really not able to continue flying anymore. So they told him he could stay in the Marine Corps, but he couldn't fly anymore. And Woody just said, he went to the flight surgeon. He said, "Oh, that can't be. I want to continue to fly." And the guy said, "Look," he says, "you're not going to stay in the Marine Corps. We're putting you out." And he actually got out with like a 60% disability. And when he went back that second time in Vietnam, he actually had brain damage. When he was shot down, he hit the ground. And over time, that actually, he's like, I think he's like at 75 or 80% disability now. Now he's okay. Physically, he's still the moose that he always was, and still doing push-ups and pull-ups and all that sort of stuff. But it just doesn't. His short-term memory is really bad, and he doesn't make decisions very well. So his wife, who is a native Hawaiian, actually, runs the operation. He's just the hired labor. So, but seems to be doing pretty well.
What was he flying, Dave?
He was flying a helicopter. It was a CH-46.
Okay.
And he really did he took some Marines into a hot landing zone, and he was coming out, and the tail rotor was shot away, and it's really hard to fly a helicopter with just the rotors. But he managed to get back, and then he took some more in, and when he was coming out that second time, they got him, and he was in a coma for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then when he came out of the coma, his left side was paralyzed, and that worked out. And it was after that he actually went back in again. This was '68 when the Tet Offensive, and they needed everybody they could possibly get. And so then, and I've talked to people that were with him when he went back, and he didn't fly much. They sort of took care of him because they understood that he really wasn't capable of doing what he was supposed to do. The difference between flying a jet and flying a helicopter is like the difference between driving a car and riding a motorcycle. You have to be constantly aware when you're flying a helicopter.
Yeah.
Not quite the same as that, but he seems to be doing well.
Wow, that's great. And, obviously, thank you for your service as well as Woody's service. Please relay that we thought of him, and when you speak to him next, that we thought of him and we remember him fondly. I can remember you guys so well through the years. Thanks, Dave.
I will do that. I will do
Hey,
that.
Jim,
Yes.
did we really only lose one person in Nam, or were there more?
Oh, no, there were more.
Who else?
Oh, boy.
Besides Herbie Ott?
Don't
Besides Herb?
Herb was not killed in Vietnam,
Yeah,
guys.
he was not killed in Vietnam.
He was killed.
wasn't.
Matter of fact, he was killed just after I left. So I was on my way back from Tulane, where I went to graduate school, and I stopped by Herb and his wife Nancy, who was pregnant with Shannon, who most of us know from Facebook.
Yes.
She was about maybe 6, 7 months pregnant with Shannon, and Herb was killed by a fellow soldier, unfortunately, over a ridiculous, silly incident, an argument. He was shot dead, along with the other young man who was with him was shot but not killed, and that other individual was able to testify
Wow.
about what happened. But poor Herb was murdered.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, I didn't
Yes, he
either.
was so.
Wow.
So even though truly Herb did serve his time in Vietnam, he had just come back. And again, I was driving up from Louisiana, and I stopped by Fort Bragg, I guess, right on the way back up. And he was there with his wife. They were in there, I guess, what they call it, the married. He was a sergeant, married. Dave, you would know, married NCO quarters, whatever.
Yeah.
Housing. It was
Married.
provided by the base.
Yeah,
base housing.
married housing. Right.
Yeah, married housing. So I stayed with them for several days, socialized, caught up. And then I had literally just driven back to Livingston, and Chief Schilling came to our house. It was, I forgot what day it was, but I remember specifically the chief knocking on the door and telling me that night that Herb had been murdered.
That is awful.
Less than a week.
Oh, my
I just
God.
literally
Oh,
got
my
back. And that was that. So poor Herb, even though I consider him a Vietnam veteran casualty,
Right.
I do believe that we can attribute his murder to that mess.
I'll bet.
Uh,
So who else did
Yeah, who else
did
did
we
we
lose? Anybody know?
I haven't heard about anyone. I've been to all the regular reunions, but haven't heard about anyone other than him.
Yeah.
But if so, that's a pretty incredible.
Yeah,
record.
it's amazing.
so
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I was in for 8 years and didn't end up in Nam at all before I got out. I was stateside the whole time, Air Force.
Guys, I hate to say it, but I need to head on off into some more activities. It's wonderful to see you all.
And you, Paul.
And David,
Paul.
David Goebel, I just wanted to add that it was a college day meeting with Woody that convinced me I needed to go to the Citadel. But I don't know whether his rap wasn't that strong because I left after a year and a half. As you know. But it was Woody that got me there. So you all take care.
But do you
Take
hold
care,
your
Paul.
Bye,
seeing
Paul.
I gotta go too, so I will see y'all next time around.
Yeah, David,
I
we
do
didn't
too.
get a chance to hear
Dave.
from you this time. So y'all come back next time.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll let you know.
Buzz Macias
It's a deal.
said to say hi. Neither of them was able to make it tonight, but they
Yeah, Jim Saslow apparently couldn't make it. I got him the information, but
Yeah, I'd like to see him.
yeah,
You know what, a lot of, even though we can't see all classmates tonight, thanks to Jim posting the video,
absolutely.
people are enjoying it, even though they can't be here. They're getting a lot of responses.
Yeah,
Take care, guys.
see you, Dave.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
I have to go too.
Yeah, I got
y'all.
Good to see everybody.
Bye.
Hi, Judy. Everybody.
Judy. I got messages.
signing off?
I got messages back from a number of people. Joan Scheidler, Bonk, watched the video. She couldn't make it tonight, but she wants to make the next one. Karen Hitcher, can't make it. Frida Brozier, can't make it. Marlene Marlene Cook, Marlene Scalise, I mean.
Police, yeah.
She doesn't like Zoom. She thinks it makes her look bad, so she doesn't like Zoom. Patty Briggs said she was gonna be here, but, oh, look who's coming on. Speak of the devil.
Patty?
Oh, look at that.
Patty,
Patty Briggs.
yeah,
Oh, yes, Patty Briggs Stores.
she's there
Hey,
somewhere.
Jim,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm going to try a little harder to see if I can get Karen, Michelle.
yeah.
Candy won't be able to, but maybe Eileen, Candy, Sylvia, maybe next time.
It might be really good for Eileen. I was
I know.
thinking about her today.
Let me tell you one thing about Eileen. She loves anything to do, like Candy too, loves anything to do with our class.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, do that, and we'll do this. We'll do this again. I got a number of suggestions from people that were at the last one. And George, I think you gave me a lot of good suggestions, but one of them was, to try and do this on a somewhat of a regular basis, almost like a, scheduled calendar. And Drew, maybe you and I can work on that, and we'll just, get things arranged in advance and post it, kind of publicize it and get things going that way. Hi, Patty.
Hi, how are
Patty.
you?
Hi, Patty.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Drew, you ever hear from Janice Lynch?
Yeah, you know what? Who's asking? Sorry.
Me, Greg.
Actually, her cousin was the wife of a friend of mine. And she came up to Vermont or to New Hampshire. And I tried to make connections with her, but I actually sent a couple emails back and forth, but she's living in Jersey and someplace in Jersey. It's a funny coincidence, but a very good friend of mine's wife is her cousin. They both went to some Catholic college together down in Jersey. But I don't hear from her other than email. She's not on Facebook. But those are happy memories. Remember with Janice.
Well, Patty, you missed some people. Some people were here and had to leave early, but that's the way this thing goes.
What time did we start?
We started at 7
Eastern time.
Eastern time. Yeah,
Well, you have to clarify that with me because
I think
I'm
I
on
did.
Central time.
Yeah, I think I did in the email. I put.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed it. Sorry.
No problem. And people come and go. That's the way it is, and it's pretty low key anyway. So no problem. I usually open the room up a half hour before the scheduled time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we will be doing it again. But now that you're here, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what you've been doing?
Well, first of all, I have 5 kids, 12 grandchildren.
Wow.
And up until last year, I visited all the time, but of course now I'm going to be able to start visiting them again.
Right.
I've retired. I worked at the JCPenney Phone Center for 21 years, and I was actually a teacher, an instructor there. And my husband passed away 3 years ago, this April 15th. So since then, I've kind of been by myself. So have lots of girlfriends here that I travel with, and I'm substitute teaching in school. I sort of like that. I can go when I want to go and say no when I want to say no, and I'm not tied down to anything. So, but we've had our pandemic was started out with on March 2nd, the tornado came through Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and that's where I live. And it destroyed a grade school and a middle school and lots of houses, lots of damage. And so, in 2 days after that, we got hit with COVID. So we've had a We've
Wow.
just been, and the schools still aren't rebuilt because there's insurance problems. So anyway, we've made it through the year though. So now we have floods. You probably saw that on TV.
Yeah.
If we don't have tornadoes, we have floods.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as bad as the last one we had. So
Are you on the, what are you on, the Tennessee River there?
we're on the Cumberland River.
Cumberland River, okay.
Yeah. But it was over its banks, of course. It didn't go into the city. But yeah, it was our Little League ballparks all got destroyed. The water just knocked out the fences and everything. So it was kind of crazy here for a little while, but we'll make it. We always do. So,
Patty, are your grandchildren all near you?
oh, no.
Oh,
I have my youngest son lives up here in Clarksville, Tennessee, and he's got two kids. And so I get to see them. But I have a son who lives in Golden, Colorado.
oh,
I have
wow.
a son that lives in Milford, New Hampshire. I have a son who lives in Jacksonville, Florida. And I have a daughter who lives in Houston, Texas.
Man, they're all over.
Right. So I
gotta
just go from one to the other one, you know.
Flyer plans.
Right. And I
Wow.
stay out in Denver probably. I was out there for a month at Thanksgiving. Even with COVID, I went. And then I was there. I'll be there for a month or 6 weeks this summer. So
Did you get your shot, Patty?
I have two. I've had both.
Good, good.
Is everybody else?
I think most people did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got one. I go for my second one next week, and my wife and daughter go Wednesday. They managed
Okay.
to get an appointment for the Johnson & Johnson, the one-shot deal on
Right.
Wednesday. So.
I
Well,
got
that's
the Moderna. And
So did
that's
I.
what got.
Yes,
I didn't have any reaction to it, but
I did on the second one,
did you?
but not bad. Oh.
Yeah, I'd rather, yeah. I had COVID in July.
Oh,
You did.
My family was visiting. They came up from Florida and they were here my daughter-in-law got a fever as she was coming to my house.
oh, boy.
And so they decided they would go home, but they stayed one night and they all went home with their 3 kids and everybody tested positive.
Oh, man.
So I
Wow.
went and got tested and I was positive.
Mm.
But the only thing it did, it just made me extremely tired. I mean, I had a headache for a couple days, but not anything like, I was fine. I stayed right here in the
God.
house.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That's good.
About how long was the duration of your symptoms, would you say?
Probably about 5 days.
Oh,
But it's still, I don't know. I still am more tired than I used to be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to blame it on COVID, but I think I am.
yeah.
Did you lose your sense of taste and smell?
No,
Oh, good,
no,
good.
no. I just had
All right.
it was like a strange headache. It felt like I had a helmet on my head. And it was just like that.
Wow, you're lucky.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Has anybody else in our class had it that anybody knows?
I didn't.
No, not that I know of.
Mhm.
No, nobody reported to me anyway that they had it. And
Mhm.
I think
Drew, anybody have COVID?
I think Marlene's, not Marlene, but Marlene's
husband.
cousin did,
Yeah, that's right. Come to think of it.
And I want to say, I think someone lost some relatives from it. One of our classmates lost some relatives, but I forget who, I believe. But That's all I know. That's all I heard. I was trying to sound people out, make sure that's all the responses I got back.
Mm.
Is it pretty easy to get a vaccine up there now?
Up from New
No.
Hampshire? Oh, no, my wife and I've already gotten ours, the second one
Mhm.
last week.
So
So,
where do all of you live?
Well, Jim
New
wants to start.
Jersey.
You live in New Jersey still?
Mhm.
Yes.
Me too.
I have
Okay.
to say this to that question. Essex County has done honestly yeoman work in getting the vaccine out, Patty. I'm still living,
Really?
and there are 4 or 5 major inoculation centers in Essex County. I mean, you guys all remember down by was it the West Orange Mall down there by is it Prospect
Essex
Street?
Green.
Essex Green, I guess. Yeah, that's right. I haven't been there in years.
I haven't either.
That was, even though I live here, I haven't been down there. I was told that was a major center. I know the Sears the former Sears where I got mine, my wife and I got ours. It was incredibly smooth. It was just amazing.
Right.
I'm still getting phone calls from Joe DiVincenzo, the Essex County executive, saying, "Hey, folks, don't forget, if you haven't gotten your shots yet, be sure you go and register, whatever, go online." So they're really pushing hard, at least in Essex County, for us to get our shots. And from what I can see, it's working, and it was very, very smoothly done. So to answer your question, was it hard? It really wasn't that hard, to tell you the truth.
George is still living in Livingston,
Yes.
and Dave Goebel is in Asheville, South Carolina,
North Carolina.
North Carolina, I'm sorry. And let's see, I'm in Fort Myers, Florida, and I have a place up in Bellows Falls, Vermont.
Where
And
Andrew, where do you live in New Hampshire?
In our town, in New Hampshire. Where's our town? It's over near
Our
Keene.
town?
In our town, it literally is our town. It's over near Keene, on the other side of Keene. It is literally the town that was written about by for the play Our Town, and the street. And if you, like, sometimes I think I'm in the play when you read some of the passages from the play. The picket
Oh.
fence with the flowers out front, but
That's
it's
cool.
yeah, it's a nice place to live.
Drew, that picture of it on Facebook with the flowers in the front, real pretty.
That is not our house. That's
What?
another house. That's not our house. No, that's another house down the street.
Oh,
I
that
don't.
was yours.
Oh no, that's another. I think I have to check, but there's a lot of photogenic houses in the downtown in the village area, and I don't think that was our house because our flowers aren't up yet. They're just poking through the grass at the moment.
Oh,
But we've been here since '73, and it's a great town to live in, good town for our daughter to grow up in, and it is literally the town that was written about that's in the play, or the play was written about. So it's
You
kind of
remember
cool.
that was our junior class play, right?
It
Yeah.
was, yeah, and some of the people, those last names some of those families are still here.
Wow.
It's a great, yeah. And people say it's a lot like New Jersey was in the '50s. A lot of people moving up here from New Jersey and Connecticut and New York because it's a very safe environment, healthy, and no income tax, no sales tax, and it's a great, safe, healthy place to live. There's this problem in January where this white stuff comes down from the sky. And
it's very pretty.
Yes.
All right. It is pretty, but
It's
people
beautiful.
like snow. But
property values in New Hampshire and Vermont have gone through the roof since COVID hit. Everybody's leaving the tri-state area and coming up that way.
What we're seeing here, and particularly Livingston and East Hanover, a major influx of people coming out of New York City.
Yeah.
Is incredible. House would go on the market. Literally, there'd be, if it hasn't already sold by the time the sign's up, there's a bidder's war.
That's right.
The flood of people, and I'm sure Barbie's still around, right? Who else is in Jersey here? You know what I'm talking about. It is a total seller's market.
Yep.
For real estate.
Nashville's the same way. Nashville's crazy.
Oh, Nashville's hot. Yes.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yep.
Downtown is a pretty good. I like it. There's a lot to do here.
How far is Mount Juliet from Nashville, Patty?
About 20 minutes.
Oh,
I can get downtown in 20 minutes.
Okay.
So
Dave Rubenfeld,
Yes.
what's your, I know you're in the LA area, but what is your hometown specifically out there?
No, I'm not in LA, Jim. I'm in Dover, New Jersey.
Are you really?
Well,
What made me think you were out in
I
California?
was out there for a little while. When I first went
Okay.
into practice, I went out there, but I came back
Okay.
and I'm in Dover, right across the street from the hospital on Route 46.
Okay.
I'm living in a 150-year-old Victorian house.
Very cool.
whoa,
That's when I was a kid, I used to go fishing in the Rockaway River with my grandfather up there, right across from the hospital.
Yeah, that's where I am, right across the street.
Wow.
Uh,
I
It's
bet
good if you get sick and you just walk across the street, you know?
Yeah.
As I get older, I appreciate that more and more.
Barb, what's your hometown?
I live in South Plainfield.
South Plainfield. Okay.
It's in Middlesex County.
Yeah.
And I've been in this house for 54 years. It'll be
Wow.
54 years this summer. Married 53 years.
Hey, Barb, I have to thank you for all your likes on Facebook.
Oh, you bet, Dave.
when I
One of
saw
my
that,
biggest fans. You and Roger Hanos.
Yeah,
Roger-
yeah, Rogers, yeah.
yeah.
When I saw that Sally Commando, I used to live next door to them.
Yeah.
And when I saw that she and David had been married for 50 years, I just think of her as my little person, and it just surprised me. I was like, 50 years.
Well, I
But-
posted on Facebook that as of March 18th, I have 50-year-old twins. And I can't get over it. I think it's so funny. Oh my gosh.
I have one son who is 51.
There you go. Look at that.
Mhm.
Wow.
But
Right.
it makes me feel old.
I
Greg,
know
where
we're
are
getting
you
old.
living, Greg? Where's
I
your
live in Little Falls in Passaic County.
Little
Oh,
Falls?
okay.
Okay.
Not far. You're not far. We're still.
David, where do you live?
I'm still striking distance, yeah.
Yeah, we're not that far.
I'm in
David?
Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, Asheville, okay.
Hey,
That's nice.
everybody hang on for a second. I want to pull something up, and this is just for fun, but thought you might get a kick out of it. Let's see if I can do this.
And besides David, Jimmy Waymeyer lives in the same town David does too. But I don't realize some people don't, or some of our classmates don't realize they could be living in a town with another classmate and not know it.
Oh, I think
Well,
so.
David lives in, and David and Jim have been living there for a while. They neither knew it.
That's right.
And they knew a town, but they didn't know both either were both living there.
Well, I knew it because of you.
Yes, I noticed it, thought I'd tell somebody.
We've been in touch. He seems to be doing really well. He's got a daughter in Charleston, and I think he's in Charleston right now. His wife had gone down there to take care of the grandchild, and we were both both getting our shots, and we were going to get together when he gets back. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's nice that you guys connected.
It's good.
Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not. Can anybody
Yeah.
see this screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I did some homework.
Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
And,
Oh my.
thought you might enjoy this.
Oh,
Is that
Population compared to then and now.
$21,000 for a house.
Yeah. These are all statistics that relate to not specifically Livingston, but New Jersey.
oh my
So,
God.
Wow, look at this.
Look at the car, guys. The car.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro.
Look at milk.
Inflation, though, that would, if you adjust that for inflation, it may be all about the same.
Mm.
Yeah, and here's a couple of things about what was going on then.
This is terrific, Jim.
Yeah, it's great.
We already talked to Dave, we already talked about Vietnam a little bit, but 65 was the year that we started sending ground troops over there.
Yeah.
And that was when the anti-war movement was really growing. A lot of college protests.
Mhm.
It was also the year that the Voting Rights Act was passed, which Lyndon Johnson was really pushing.
I remember that.
Yeah, Martin Luther King, the March to Selma across the bridge.
Yeah.
Medicare was started then. War on
what?
poverty.
Oh my gosh.
Gemini space program was started then and went on for a number of years, about 8 years. Cigarette warnings first appeared on packs. Drew, latest crazes were the Super Bowl and skateboards, Drew.
It still is a craze as far as I'm concerned. I still have my skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Drew,
better
you-
think twice about getting on that bad boy and riding down a steep hill though.
No, not that hill.
Yeah,
Drew,
yeah.
you not only have your skateboard, you have everything you have ever owned in your life,
And more.
most of which is in the back of your car.
Well, it's true.
The joy of every boy in Livingston High School, the advent of the miniskirt made its way in 1965. Days of Our Lives, Dr. Zhivago, the movie. The Canadian flag came into being that year.
Wow.
Previously,
That's interesting.
it was a British province. It was a
Good people, I'm gonna wish you all good night. I've got an early ride tomorrow, so.
Yeah, I'm
say
gonna-
thank
I'm
you
gonna
for-
head out too.
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank
care,
you so
everybody. We'll see you
much.
next time.
Great to see you.
Great
Bye-bye,
to
Laura.
see
You
you.
all too.
See you,
Thank you for,
Jim. See you
Thanks,
next time.
Barb.
Thanks for all you
Yeah.
do, Drew.
thank you for sharing.
I still remember
you,
taking
David.
piano lessons from your mom.
Thank you
Oh
all.
my gosh, Patty, you're kidding.
No, I took them when I was a junior and a senior in high school.
How about that?
Yep,
Wow.
yep.
That's pretty neat.
I still have the same piano.
Wow.
That's
I brought
awesome.
it, I had it shipped from New Jersey, so.
How
The
about
only thing
that?
I can say about keeping stuff, none of our kids want any of our stuff.
No,
I don't know if you find that out, but
Yeah.
they don't want our stuff.
Wow.
Not
Hey,
many.
Jim,
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks
Jim,
for that.
is
That's
it
great.
possible to get a copy of that?
Yeah, I can email it to you. I can.
Yeah,
I'd
that
like
would
to
be
see that too. That's interesting.
I love it. Love
I
to
can,
be able to look.
I can email it and I can also post it on Facebook. I have everybody that attended tonight, so I can easily email that out to everyone.
That'd be
I-
really nice.
You can
Thank
kill this now.
Greg, your phone, you're still on there, Greg.
Yeah, I'm just, okay. Thanks for
See you
telling me.
see you next time.
See you next time. Be well.
Yeah,
I
you too.
took a picture of the screen.
I did too.
Yeah, so I can remember who was there. I mean, I
Oh,
know I missed some people, but
Well,
that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
and
I'm on an iPad, so it doesn't show that many. I have to flip the screen to see
Oh,
it.
okay.
right.
But I did take a picture and I'll send it to you or I'll post it.
Well, I recorded the last, not totally, but I did record most of it, and I forgot to push the record button on this one in the beginning. So I didn't start until about halfway through Dave Goebel's speaking, but I do have a recording of it. It's recording right now, and
Terrific.
they will be both posted on Facebook, not on
Okay.
Facebook, but on YouTube, and I'll post the URL for it on Facebook soon.
Nice job, Jim. Thank
You did
you.
a great
Yeah,
job.
Really, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I guess, are you all in favor of doing this again? I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
impression that I get is that everybody that's partaken in this has enjoyed it, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Who
I
else
had-
was on before I got here? A lot of people?
Several.
we had, I can tell you exactly how many we had. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Judy Sack and Leaves
We had
was
16,
on.
yeah, we had
Renee
16
Levy.
Renee,
people on.
Paula Gould.
Yep.
Okay.
David
That's the
Schaefer.
girls.
Randy Crawford was on,
Randy.
Paul
Yeah.
Cashman, Renee Plevy.
I've seen Paul when I had dinner with him when I went to Colorado.
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Is he
he's-
still a councilman out there?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Ian David Schaefer was also on.
Hmm.
So, we get kind of an eclectic collection of people, and I don't mind doing this. This is a business account for a company that I started about 6 years ago. And I am fortunately retired from it now, but I still do some consulting work for them. So I still have the Zoom account for meeting purposes.
Good.
So
Thank you.
it doesn't cost me anything, but
Let me throw this out, guys. Now, I don't know whether that's your good work, Jim and Paula and Drew, but in the Tribune over the last, I've been very sensitized because what we have been doing over the last couple of, I would say maybe year, certainly last 12 months, a lot of other classes are calling for what we have been doing. In other words, I remember the class of 1970 for sure stuck out because I had some friends in that class, and there are others who actually posted in the Tribune, hey, anybody who's still around, let's get together for these kinds of Zoom or informal reunions. Now, whether we can take we can take credit for being, the first ones, the initiators of that, you got me. But certainly, we're not alone in trying to bring back the old crowd. And I think it's fabulous. I think it's actually.
Are you thinking that maybe a little article in the Tribune about what we've been doing?
Barb, I don't see why. Seriously, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I could throw something together. I mean, I'm a PR guy from AT&T. If I can't do it, who the hell can, right? I could.
All right, that'd be a great thing, because I'll bet there's a lot of other people that are interested. I have to ask my sister, who graduated in '64. I have to see if anybody's approached her about doing this.
I think '64 was one of the years that was actually calling for. Again, I'm talking about a very small blurb,
Right.
like in the Tribune. Hey, attention class of, let's say '64. Is anybody keeping in touch? Would you be interested in we're this kind of a thing? So who knows? Maybe we could be the ones.
It gives people ideas too. So, good idea.
As an action.
before
And
we,
Jim,
yes,
excuse me 1 second before we get off. I wanted to ask you before, can you do me a favor and just tell Mr. Petito that we were all asking for him?
yeah, I will.
Yes.
I will convey it, and he definitely needs some.
Cheering up?
He needs some positive feedback because he's just beat. He's wounded.
I miss his pictures of his food.
Yeah.
I do. I used to love that. I have a recipe that I made from one of his pictures, and I call it Mr. Petito's.
Well, his family owned the restaurant in
Newark?
No, in New York State.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, not quite in the Catskills, but it was up, in southern New York, up in. I'm not sure what county it was in, but yeah, they owned the Italian restaurant. It was a top flight restaurant, really, really good restaurant.
That's pretty neat. Well, he'll be happy to hear that we were asking for him. I hope.
Yeah, and I can't even get in touch with him right now because he's in transition between his home and where he's going to. But I'm in touch with Joseph, his son, and also Stuart Welch, who left Livingston when his job was the job that I took when I got hired from Mount Pleasant.
Oh, no kidding.
So Stewie and Bob and I have been in touch with each other for years. So there's one other thing that I'll share with you. And this topic came up a while ago. These are, we were talking about Herbox, and a number of classmates may have died in Vietnam. I don't know of anyone that was killed over in Vietnam, but these, as of our 50th reunion 6 years ago, these were the classmates of ours that had passed away.
You're kidding. I didn't realize there was
Yeah.
that many.
Yeah.
I knew there was several, but I didn't know it was this many.
Woo.
Yeah, and George, you may remember Carol.
I do
my
very.
person. Carol, you and I were the last people in line at our graduation down at South Mountain Arena because we were the tallest ones.
I remember Carol very well. Matter of her dad was town engineer.
Yeah.
And Carol was always in my same homeroom. Always, we were right next to each other in homeroom.
Yeah, and Carol worked until she retired, worked as a secretary for Livingston Board of Education.
That's correct. I remember,
So
I remember very well.
we were able to keep in touch for years. So in memory of those that are no longer with us, and God willing, may we meet again.
You're here.
I am certainly very, very happy to be running these meetings, and I'm always happy to see these faces of
Mhm.
people that I grew up with. There's something very special about that time in Livingston for me. It was often painful. It was often difficult, but it was always wonderful. It was always a feeling of being sheltered and being loved, regardless of whatever my teenage angst may have been. It wasn't any different for me than it was for anybody else. Although at the time I thought I was unique and suffering terribly as an individual. But in retrospect, looking back, it was just a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So
Totally agree.
yeah,
I do
for
too.
me, these things are icing on the cake, and as long as I can do it, I'll do it. So
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
Thanks for
thank
what
you.
you're doing, Dan. Really appreciate it.
When
Yeah.
is our next call?
I don't know. We were talking about that earlier, Pat. I think what I'd like to do is work up a schedule and just post the calendar.
Okay,
And, if we can do that, I think part of the issues with more people not coming to the meetings, I've gotten so many messages, emails, private messages from people that said, I'd love to be there, but I can't make it. Especially this year with COVID kind of easing off, there are a lot of people that finally are able to enjoy the holidays, Passover, Easter, whatever, with family. So I think if I can post a calendar, and George, that was one of your suggestions, if we can do maybe a quarterly meeting
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Every other month or something like that.
I think
And I also think that Saturday nights sometimes are a little bit
There you
difficult
go.
for people to schedule. So
I would suggest possibly a Friday night or a night other than Saturday, because now that things are opening up,
yeah,
I'd like to think that we'll get out once in a while.
yeah, exactly.
Amen.
with our masks on, with our masks.
Yeah, and as always, I think I made this quip at the last meeting. As a teacher, I was used to being evaluated every year. They were not without some value, but I found them for the most part rather benign, rather innocuous. And my best evaluations came from my students because they were always candid. They were always not afraid to tell me the truth, which I cherished. Made me that much of a better teacher. So if any of you have any suggestions about these meetings, please drop me a line, send me an email, whatever, and I'll implement those to the best of my ability. So, anybody else have anything to say? David, you've been so quiet.
Which David? There's three of us, I think.
Well, not anymore.
Who?
You're the only one.
No,
Who?
there's David Goebel and David Rubin.
Oh, yeah, well, Dave Goebel, I mean, he's always there. President of the class, after all.
Thanks.
Dave, David Goebel, David Rubenfeld was one of my oldest and dearest friends from first grade. I've known him forever. But David Goebel, you were always my silent hero. I told the story before about wanting to hit the softball over the fence at Roosevelt. Be like Dave, be like Dave. that was my informal mantra during school. Be like Dave. You're a good guy.
Hey, I'd say-
Dave
I don't know
Goebel,
what
I
to
have
do with
a
that.
story for you. Dave Goebel, when we were in 5th grade, we used to go out to the field and play, during, I think, lunch or recess. And I remember we were playing basketball one day and we took on nicknames, and you wanted the nickname Woody, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting.
You wanted your brother's name.
Brother, right? Remember Whitney?
That's right.
That was interesting. Funny what you remember, but I remember that.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
really.
Who's gonna
a-
win Who's gonna win the NCAA tournament? Does anybody watch?
To be honest with you, this year I haven't. I've been so busy that I haven't had a chance to turn on the TV. But I don't know. What do you
Well,
think?
it's already, one team has been eliminated, Houston.
Yeah.
They got beat by, I watched it, but I can't remember who it was. I know Gonzaga's playing now. So.
Yeah, Gonzaga is in it every year.
Yeah.
The college that I can never remember the name of after NCAA finals.
Mhm.
Well, I am going to bid you adieu.
Yeah.
Not every-
It's actually
Thank you
past my
for letting
bedtime.
me in late.
It's great
No
seeing
problem.
everybody.
Yes.
Good night.
Thank you
problem.
again, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll see everybody next
Bye-bye.
time. I'll post
See you,
it.
George.
For sure.
Okay,
Good to
Take
see
care.
y'all.
Hey,
Bye.
guys,
See you, David.
Bye.
take care.
Bye, Barbara.
Bye now.
take care,
Patty.
Patty.
Bye.